What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
That's the name of the shot.
What do you mean?
Hey everyone, I thought we'd have a look at how it's going in the United States of America at the moment with Trump's second term. Have a look at how the first 100 days is shaping up for them. And I figured, because if you're watching this, I assume you already know that I'm Australian, and who the fuck wants to hear what an Australian has to say about what's happening in America? And I'm with you. Why the fuck would you want to listen to me? What would I know? So let's listen to some Americans. And I thought we'd have a look at this from a few different angles, meaning there'll only be a couple of chapters in this video, and so I thought we'll start off at having a look at how things are going in America from the point of view of their federal workers.
You get the fork in the road message, or you get the subsequent 5 bullets. Hey, what the hell did you do, you lazy federal worker, this week?
The email that came out wanting us to justify our jobs with 5 things we did last week was on Saturday night. And I was literally working on Saturday night to make up for all the distractions I had had the previous week, which came from the executive branch. And so I'm working, trying to catch up on things, and then I get that email on top of it. It's very hard to keep your train of thought when you're getting threatened and harassed like that.
How frightening is it that someone on X, the owner of X, speaks to you directly to say, what did you do last week at work? And if you don't answer, I am going to fire you.
I'm just here trying to make government more efficient, eliminate waste and fraud, and so far we're making good progress, actually. So our savings at this point exceed $4 billion a day. Mm-hmm. So it's very significant.
You think you'll wind up getting to $1 trillion?
Yeah.
Of savings?
I mean, unless we're stopped, we will get to $1 trillion of savings.
Now, this protest was organised by a veterans group, people who've served in the US military, but are now seeing either their jobs cuts or their benefits cut. And they have organised this, but it is becoming a rallying call for people with a whole range of issues that they feel the government is mishandling. And top of the list seems to be those DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, job cuts. And there have now been tens of thousands in the less than 2 months that Donald Trump has been running the country and back in the White House.
So, for example, for the 80,000 employees that are set to be fired from the VA, do you consider them bloated bureaucrats who have sob stories?
Well, let's take a look at it.
Veterans, we're under attack. Last week, 1,400 workers got fired illegally. 22 of them were my colleagues at at Hines VA Hospital. Some of them didn't even get a real notice. All they got was this, an email with X's where the date should be and no name. That's how little they think of people and our veterans in this country.
Donald Trump has fired more veterans than any president in the history of the United States, and he's been in office less than 2 months, and he's not done. When you do willy-nilly firings in the federal workforce, 30% of the federal workforce is veteran. It's less than 5% in the civilian workforce. So you are firing veterans, and he knows it.
We're looking larger now. More job cuts in Washington, this time at the Department of Education. More than 1,300 layoffs have been announced. President Trump has vowed to dismantle the education department, calling it a con job.
But doing it in this reckless way where you cut people who are responsible for monitoring the nuclear stockpile, or cut people who are responsible for monitoring the avian flu, or people responsible for monitoring measles.
They are firing key members who have been working there for decades, and the work is really falling apart.
I was hoping to have this job to provide some stability for my family. To have to tell my wife that day that I was terminated for no reason other than my probationary status was devastating.
That's Army veteran Luke Graziani. He's one of the more than 30,000 federal employees fired because of cuts made by DOGE.
Last week, somewhere between 800 and 1,200 NOAA employees who are on probation received termination notices around 3 o'clock Thursday. And so we pulled together this rapid response rally to show solidarity with those workers. And we're hearing that there will be another sort of round of future firings So we want to make sure that we made it very clear that we're not happy with this, and so we've been chanting hands off Noah for the past hour.
If I was a really sketchy business person, what kinds of schemes should I do now that nobody at the CFPB is allowed to do their job?
I mean, it's open season.
I'm worried about what we're going to see in the financial marketplace going forward.
Elon Musk says he wants to delete the CFPB. Why do you think he wants to do that?
Because Elon Musk has companies that are involved with payment processing and financial services, and he wants to do whatever he wants to do without the oversight of the government. He wants to be able to be in a position where he can take advantage of consumers without somebody like the CFPB to stand up to him.
We've seen plenty of people streaming past us here today with Elon Musk signs saying that he has to go, because there is a real fear that with that cost cutting, with that efficiency drive from the US government, it could lead to a destabilization of the government. Quite simply, not enough people to run the departments that are being cut. And we've also seen the huge reduction, almost complete stoppage of the International Development Agency, USAID, that's affected funding for hundreds of programs right around the world.
We start with the news alert. A federal judge has ordered the Trump administration to reinstate thousands of probationary employees fired last month from half a dozen federal agencies. A U.S. district judge found the firings did not follow federal law. Employees at Veterans Affairs, Agriculture, Defense, Energy, Interior, and Treasury departments could get their jobs back. The case is one of several pending lawsuits challenging the mass terminations.
And now we're at the part of the video that's about Canada, thus tariffs, hence the stock market, ergo Tesla and Elon Musk, therefore Social Security. Let's just call it the economy.
But he said the only reason the stock market's going up is because everybody on Wall Street thinks that Trump is going to win the election. I think that's true.
And I went on groceries. It's a very simple word, groceries. Like almost, who uses the word? I started using the word, the groceries. When you buy apples, when you buy bacon, when you buy eggs, they would double and triple the price over a short period of time. And I won an election based on that. We're going to bring those prices way down.
What they should announce is in the fourth quarter of 2025, this economy is going to be humming.
Okay. Now we have President Trump back. He has a great team in place. He has willing partners in the House and Senate, unified government. The adults are back in the room, okay? And we are going to turn this economy around.
We've seen worries about growth. I know you said you're not expecting a recession, but investors are on edge over the possibility of a recession this year.
Can you rule out a recession, even a temporary one?
Well, look, I think you never can predict the future, but I think the economy, the fundamentals of the economy are actually quite strong right now. And we'll see how this unfolds, Laura, but I think that by inducing more businesses to invest in American workers, by reshoring some of those critical supply chains, we are going to make this economy stronger over the long haul, and that is the president's ultimate goal.
But now we're talking about recession, and I asked President Trump about it this week, and he didn't say no.
Your district is right outside of Detroit, one of the hubs of automaking in our country. Ford's CEO has lamented what he described as a lot of cost and a lot of chaos from the Trump administration on auto tariffs. There was some back and forth, there were some delays. Now they're set to kick into place in April. What do you tell constituents when you hear automakers say that the cost of certain vehicles is going to skyrocket? It's going to jump upwards of $12,000 because of these tariffs.
I tell them to relax. Don't listen to the fear-mongering, because the Democrats right now have no vision, they have no plan,
automakers,
and they have no. If you don't mind, I
would
have enough respect to let you talk. So would you like me to answer the question, or do you want
I just want to clarify. You're describing it as fear-mongering. What I cited was a Ford CEO. Automakers are the ones saying that these costs are going to jump.
My generic point here with respect to affordability and the economy is we're going to have to suffer through some bad news. This has nothing to do with Trump. Trump's program's not in yet. And I got people on the left who are blaming Trump. How can you blame Trump when he wasn't president, when these seeds were planted?
You need certainty, which is why we need, tax policy that's permanent, not that's able to fade in and out. I'm not trying to get off on that subject, but I'm just saying that we need certainty in the business world. Tariffs is a tax, and it will be passed on consumers, but it also allows us to have open markets. So,
you know, Wall Street, listen, right now what we're going through is a tariff tantrum in Wall Street.
Trade war will pound stocks, and high asset prices require a large U.S. capital surplus. We don't have that. And so everyone's trying to add this up to say the math doesn't make sense here to have all of these things happening at the same time.
Just said is important, that a tariff is a tax and it is passed on to consumers.
Of course it is. Everybody
that is something
knows that.
the White House does not acknowledge.
The White House says that you will identify and excuse yourself from any conflicts of interest that you may have. Does that mean that you are in effect policing yourself? What are the checks and balances that are in place to ensure that there is accountability and transparency?
Well, we actually are trying to be as transparent as possible. In fact,
Hello, President Trump. Are you looking to buy or lease today? Well, I'm going to buy. And I'm going to buy because, number one, it's a great product, as good as it gets. And number two, because this man has devoted his energy and his life to doing this. And I think he's been treated very unfairly by a very small group of people.
He surveyed some cars. It was happening as, Americans' 401k accounts were facing some struggles because of this tariff war happening right now. Was that an appropriate thing for the president to do there? Was it sensitive to the moment that we're in, buying a car, using the White House as a backdrop for that?
And we also expect the White House to try to reassure folks who are sitting there looking at their 401ks going down and down and down. This is a White House that came in trying to get federal workers to retire by the hundreds of thousands, but it's tough to make the argument that you should retire if your retirement accounts are getting throttled, which is what is happening right now.
I think it leads us to the ultimate goal here of Doge, Elon Musk, and Republicans in Congress, which is to cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. You see the budget resolution that they're working with in Congress. It's impossible to get the savings that Elon Musk is claiming without deep, deep cuts to the entitlements that people care about and people rely on. And you're seeing that in service of a tax cut that is going to go overwhelmingly to the wealthiest and well-connected, exactly like Elon Musk and his billionaire donors.
the way it's important in entitlement spending, which is which is most of the federal spending is entitlements. That's like the big one to eliminate, because that's the sort of $500 billion, maybe $700 billion a year.
You start digging, you're going to find it. I'm wondering if you started digging into Medicare and Medicaid to see if it's all muscle or if there's fat around the muscle there as well, Mr. Chairman.
I welcome Doge looking at Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid.
Social Security is the biggest Ponzi scheme of all time.
Right, explain that.
Oh, so, well, people pay into Social Security, and the money goes out of Social Security immediately, but the obligation for Social Security is your entire retirement career. So you're paying you're paying like if you look at the future obligations of Social Security, it far exceeds the tax revenue.
We're an equal branch of government. And you start off with a blather, and yet look at the empty seats here. Where's Elon Musk? I'm sure he's a genius and is a very credible person because of the wealth he's accumulated. But that does not put him above the law or the responsibility to come before this committee in this Congress. If he's so great, if these plans and all the fraud and abuse that he's found are so evident, why isn't he here explaining it? You know why. Because he's out to privatize Social Security. He's been on television the last couple of days talking exactly about Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, and what he intends to do. Privatize it. The American people, some of them may have been born at night, but not last night.
And yet they're burning down cars, they're firebombing dealerships, they're firing bullets into dealerships, they're just, smashing up Teslas. Tesla is a peaceful company. We've never done anything harmful. I've never done anything harmful. I've only done productive things. The way it's important in entitlement spending, which is which is most of the federal spending is entitlements. That's like the big one to eliminate. So I think we just have a deranged, there's some kind of mental illness thing going on here, because this doesn't make any sense.
I say this at risk of my job, Kelly, but what President Trump is doing is insane. It is absolutely insane. It is about the 8th reason we've had for the tariffs, and now he's saying he's putting 50% tariffs on Canada unless they agree to become the 51st state. That is insane.
My problem with Canada, Canada was meant to be the 51st state because we subsidize Canada by $200 billion a year. We don't need their cars. We don't need their lumber.
Think about this for a second. Why are American cars made in Canada? Why are they made in Canada? To the president, it just doesn't make sense. Why are American cars made in Canada? Those jobs should be in America. And that's what the president thinks, and that's what he says, and that's what he's going to execute. So the key point is Canada's going to have to work with us to really integrate their economy. And as the president said, they should consider the amazing advantages of being the 51st state of the United States of America.
I would love to see Canada be the 51st state.
Well, the president is, again, responding to the fact that Canada has been ripping off the United States of America and hardworking Americans for decades.
The end game here, could you eventually get to a point where there's that you've got a huge economy, you've conjoined, you've merged the economies of Canada and the United States? Can you get to that point, you think?
Well, the best way, the president has said it, the best way to actually merge the economies of Canada and the United States is for Canada to become our 51st state.
Tonight, I am announcing Canada will be responding to the U.S. trade action with 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods. This will include immediate tariffs on $30 billion worth of goods as of Tuesday, followed by further tariffs on $125 billion worth of American products in 21 days' time to allow Canadian companies and supply chains to seek to find alternatives.
To be honest with you, Canada only works as a state. It doesn't. We don't need anything they have. As a state, it would be one of the great states anyway. This would be the most incredible country visually. If you look at a map, they drew an artificial line right through it between Canada and the U.S. Just a straight artificial line. Somebody did it a long time ago, many, many decades ago, and makes no sense.
Believe Canada tried to shut off our electricity? I mean, it's almost like they want us to invade.
One of the nastiest countries to deal with is Canada. The people that, now this was Trudeau, the people that good old Justin, I call him Governor Trudeau, his people were nasty.
Always got to save the best for last. Here's a bunch of clips from town halls.
President Trump has issued a lot of executive orders. I think by and large this is moving very quickly compared to other administrations, and I think across the board he's done some very good things. I think he's gotten rid of birthright citizenship.
Illegal as hell. Tyranny is rising in the White House, and a man has declared himself our king. So I would like to know, rather, the people would like to know what you, congressmen, and your fellow congressmen are going to do to rein in the megalomaniac in the White House.
When will you stand up to them and say that is enough?
The end result of the fraud and abuse that has been discovered already.
And this question is regarding DOGE. Do you approve of the Department of Government Efficiency's mission to streamline the federal government and reduce spending? Press 1 for yes, and press 2 for no. Again, that's 1 for yes and 2 for no. Our results are coming in, and it's at 70% for no and 30% for yes. That's 70% for no and 30% for yes.
Have those jobs, a huge percentage of those people, and I know you care about the veterans. The veterans. Yes. And that is a damn shame. Yes. Yes. That is a damn shame.
I'm not a Democrat, but I'm worried about the veterans, man.
Well, I yielded to one of my elders, and I appreciate his comments. I think it's a great, I'm not going to, we don't have time for everyone to stand up. I do got 2 more commitments today. Appreciate everybody making the drive out, and God bless America. Thank you.
Wait, what?
In an hour.
Those programs.
Republican Congresswoman Stephanie Bice of Oklahoma.
I'm a registered Republican voter and retired active Army officer. How can you tell me that Doge, with some college whiz kids from a computer terminal in Washington, D.C., without even getting out into the field, after about a week or maybe 2, has determined that it's okay to cut veterans' benefits?
I think a couple things. Let me give you an example. Did you know that the VA was in charge of payments for illegals for housing? Basically, the VA.
No, I'd like for you to send me. Could you send me that reference so I could research that? Because no, I'm not aware of that. And I would tell you that that's a red herring, a false flag. If you're throwing that kind of political stuff up, trying to cut veterans' benefits, that's very alarming to me.
Listen very closely again. Listen very closely again to what Bill Clinton did between 94.
Our next question is from Kathleen, zip code 28804. Why do you support a president that cares nothing about NATO, Ukraine, and democracy, but cares about Putin and other dictators?
Actually, I believe that the president is very supportive of Ukraine. I believe the president recognizes that Putin is a murderous dictator.
Do you support the annexation of Canada and/or Greenland? Is that the way the United States should act to our closest neighbors?
We can talk about volunteering, phone banking, voting. All that stuff is important. But in the meantime, our Constitution is being trampled. A coup is underway, and a dictatorship is being formed. This is no longer a time for normal politics. It is a time to stand up and resist.
If we laid off or fired every single federal worker, we would not come close to dealing with the amount of money that we have to pay to service the debt. None of us want that. These are brutal, cruel cuts that do not seem to be necessary in the manner in which they've been made. But nonetheless, were we to actually move against the entitlements, we would still be dealing with an $800 billion service of the debt.
I am furious. Furious. Where is Scott Perry, our federal workers? He has the most federal workers under him. Where is he?
Why is Elon Musk a better person to audit our government for waste, fraud, and abuse than the inspectors general that Donald Trump fired? Because Elon Musk has conflicts of interest out the wazoo. He gets $40 billion a year in federal contracts from the federal government.
Trouble hearing you.
Do you think he would cut that before he would cut our Medicare or our Social Security or our jobs?
I support Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency.
I want to make it very clear that Musk has no power
Okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. So your proposal to solve this is to tax the rich.
And finally, just like to give a shout out to those Americans that little ray of hope going out and giving their politicians what for, because it's good to see that there are still some of yous that are alright. Some of you guys in this list are from the USA, no doubt. Love you all if you want to be part of the next list. And also, mainly, I will send you stickers and magnets that I made myself. Who else is doing that? But yeah, if you want to help me keep the lights on and keep my internet on and want me to send you some little thank you gifts that I made myself, that will be patreon.com/WDYM videos. And yeah, this is the part where I tell you to like, subscribe, and send this to anyone that's not sure of what's going on in the USA recently.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
That's the name of the chat. What do you mean with an exclamation point?